Oh, I would love to read it. So Shabbat Shalom to those of you who are joining us online. We will be starting in just about a moment. In the meantime, gather your candles and your challah and wine, and we will start in a moment. That was to the audience. She'll be here in maybe 6 minutes. Okay, so we're gonna go over it. Yeah, sure. Oh. Oh, there was one, and you said you didn't know it, so you want the other one. It's an additional. That's what we're doing. How about all of them? We'll do it every day, every day. Luckily, he didn't say a don't alone. We'll be here all week. For our guests, this is a word from the Psalms, which says how wonderful we're all together with many tunes.
שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. That was two of them? Oh, I got 100 more.
Okay,
I have a jazzy one.
do a jazzy one.
Or you just give me an artist and I'll do their
Do a
version.
jazzy one.
I'll give you a little taste of this one. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים. Well, behold how good it is for all of us to be together. Behold how good it is for all of us to be here right now, hand in hand. I need everyone to do this, okay? I need to go. Hine ma tov. Can you do that with me? Hine ma tov. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים. Sing הנה with me. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
We will not have them do all of them because that might be our entire service. For those of you who are here every week, we are so happy to see our congregational family, and we have some people who are exploring our services and Judaism as well. So it's a great opportunity for us to talk about the service and what we say and how amazing that we can take the ancient words of the psalm and put them into contemporary and joyous music. So that even if we don't know the exact Hebrew words, but behold how good it is when brothers and sisters can sit in unity, we can express its joy and its love. The Friday evening service begins as the sun goes down, which begins the new lunar day, and we begin by kindling lights of the Sabbath, by bringing light and warmth into our house of light. We inaugurate this beautiful day, which will not end until sunset tomorrow. And so we have the Beckers who are going to join us, and their mom, Annette Nathan, and is Mark coming from? Not the father, to kindle the lights of Shabbat. eternal God, the ruler of the universe, who has sanctified, made us holy with commandments, and given us this commandment, the mitzvah to kindle the light on Shabbat. And as the candles are lit, we are ready to welcome the Sabbath bride. Sabbath is viewed as a bride that we bring with joy and expectations. Bowie, come on in, bride, and bless us.
Bowie kala, bowie kala, bowie kala, bowie kala. Bowie kala, bowie kala, bowie kala, bowie kala. Lecha dodi, lekrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat, nekabela, nekabela. Bowie kala, bowie kala, bowie kala, bowie kala. Bowie kala, bowie kala, bowie kala, bowie kala. Lecha dodi, lekrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat, nekabela. Wow. Bowie kala, bowie kala, bowie kala, bowie kala, bowie kala, bowie kala.
So our service begins after all the warm-up prayers and songs and the kindling of the lights with the basic part of the prayer service. The central statement of Judaism is the monotheistic statement that God is one, our Shema, and certain prayers are wrapped around that statement. And so we begin on page 2 with the first prayer that welcomes the beginning of the service with what we call the Baruch, our call to worship, and that is on page 2, and we rise together and remain standing throughout the Shema.
Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared?
Eternal God, whose temple is the whole world and whose dwelling place is the human heart, we know that you are everywhere and that your presence never leaves us. Yet we are thankful for appointed times and chosen places where in fellowship with one another our spirits turn to you. At this service, at this hour and in this place, help us to feel your nearness. The week of toil is ended, the day of rest has come, and we pause to reflect on the meaning of our lives. source of all creation, you have given us the blessing of work so that by our efforts we may fashion things and use the moments of helpfulness. You have also given us Shabbat, the Sabbath, a time to cease for self-renewal and sanctification. May the work of our hands and minds be acceptable to you. May this Shabbat enrich our lives, drawing us closer to you in truth and in love. We continue with that central statement in Deuteronomy, which says that something the Jews are said to have brought to the world, the idea that there is one God over all people. We may call that God by many names and have different beliefs, but it is all a unity, which means that we are a unity.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed.
That statement that Israel says here, Adonai is our God and is one, indeed, is the central tenet and belief of Judaism, and how we enact that in our words is followed in the words of Deuteronomy in a prayer called V'ahavta, which says that we should walk with God in our heart, soul, and might, and we have different ways by teaching and remembering and binding these words upon our hearts that will bring God into the universe. If we are to chant it as we would out of the Torah, it would sound like this. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha u'kol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom alevavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'divarta bam v'shivtecha b'beitecha u'lechtecha b'derech u'shoftecha u'kumecha u'kshartam lehot al yadecha v'hayu letotapot b'neinecha u'ktavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'bisharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kedoshim le'Elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim l'hyot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. And even as we thank God for creating the universe and creating a relationship with us, which we learn through studying Torah and doing deeds, the greatest deed of all that God did for us was freeing us from slavery in Egypt, setting us on a path to bring freedom to all peoples of the world wherever we go and wherever we are. We were once strangers in the land of Egypt, and thus we have the empathy to free everyone who is enslaved. We are told as the Israelites marched through the Red Sea, Moses and Miriam picked up their timbrels and sang and danced to the Mi Chamocha in the middle of page 3.
Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai. ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Yeah. I should have it here. I don't. It's in here. It's okay. I should have it. There it is.
Hashkivenu, may we lie down in peace and wake up renewed to peace.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Shalom Ve'amidenu Shomrenu L'chaim. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Shalom. Ve'amidenu Shomrenu L'chaim. Save us for the sake of your name. Give from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Shalom. Ve'amidenu Shomrenu L'chaim. L'chaim. L'chaim.
And page 4 and 5 of our prayer pamphlet speaks of a new section of our service. The Amidah is the prayer which we recite predominantly while standing, and is a set of benedictions that our rabbis of old set that our prayer services should include. And so we turn to page 4 and continue with this, the Amidah, as we rise.
Adonai Ananana Sfatai Zita Ananana Ufi Agi Tehilatecha Ananana Adonai Ananana Sfatai Zita Ananana Ufi Agi Tehilatecha Ananana Adonai Ananana Sfatai Zita Ananana Ufi Agid, Ufi Agid Tehilatecha. Na 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 Adonai. Na 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 Svatai Tiftach. Na 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 Ufi Agid. Ufi Agid Tehilatecha.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Ve'Elohei Avotenu ve'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibur V'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chastei Avot V'Imahot, Umevi Gula Livnei B'neihem, L'man Shemo B'Yahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol atarav lahoshia, Mechalkel chayim b'chesed, Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim b'rofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umechayei memunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha ba'al gevurot, Umidol melach, Melech memid, Umechayei, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah lahachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, U'kadoshim b'chol yom yehalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Hamel hakadosh. You are holy, your name is holy, and all who proclaim your holiness indeed have a piece of your Kedusha, your special holiness throughout every day. Blessed are you, Eternal One, our holy God, and we are seated. We believe in tomorrow. We believe that we have the power to make tomorrow different from today. We believe that poverty need not be permanent, and that people need not learn war forever. We believe in people despite all we know about them. We believe that there can still be a time of peace and a time of justice, a time of fellowship and a time of tranquility for all who live on earth. We believe that we can have a share in bringing that day closer by the way in which we live in the week to come. Even though the world may smile at our dreams, it does not matter. We still believe. And before our prayer for peace, the Amidah includes a blessing for Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I keep having my special requests.
Okay.
So we ask for gratitude and to remember to bless all of the gifts that we are giving. Modim anachnu lach, which is not in this prayer book, is indeed, I think, a necessity for all of our prayer services when we remember to have gratitude for all the prayers that have been answered.
That's why I wrote it. מודים אנחנו לך שאתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו אלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו מודים אנחנו לך שאתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו אלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו לעולם ועד לעולם ועד לעולם ועד לעולם ועד Thankful for our lives Thankful for our souls Thankful for the miracles wondrous to behold Thankful for the morning Thankful for the afternoon Thankful for the evening and nighttime blessed by you Leolam Vaed Leolam Vaed Leolam Vaed Leolam Vaed Leolam Vaed Forever and ever and ever Forever and ever and ever Forever and ever and ever Forever and ever and ever
And our next two prayers speak to our needs in this world. Just as we thank God, just as we know that it is we who must make our prayers come true on earth, we still pray for the blessings to help us on our path, to bring both peace and healing to our world. For those of us who are watching online, if you would like to type in names of individuals for whom you would like to pray for healing, we will bring that up in just a moment. But first we pray for healing for the world, for shalom. The Hebrew word shalom means wholeness and fullness, and only when it is full and complete for all people, not just a privileged few, but for all, will there be shalom. So we continue with Shalom Rav, much peace, God. Bless us with peace.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam Ki Ata Melech Adon Lecho HaShalom Ki Ata Melech Adon Lecho HaShalom Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam B'tov Einecha Levarer Et Samcha Yisrael B'chol lev u'b'chol sha'ah B'shlomecha Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam Tasim Leolam Tasim Leolam
And we add to our prayer for peace for the world, the individual peace prayers that we have for family members and people in our community who may be ailing, who may be ill, who may be suffering, who may just need a little bit of strength and healing. The Misha Berach prayer asks that God is with those people to give them the strength and the wholeness and the healing that they may be lacking. If there's anyone for whom you'd like to dedicate this prayer, now is your opportunity to mention their names. In our community, we also pray for healing for Carla Scher and Benji Klein, the entire Michelson family, Martin Robbins, Arlene Graham, Madeline Ammons, and we have here Sarah Adams praying for healing for all of the Gilbert family. For them all, and for all of those who we carry in our hearts, we pray for healing.
Bisheberach Avotenu Mekor HaBrecha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misheberach imotenu Mekor HaBrecha Le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. And let us say Amen.
So probably the first and most significant verse of the whole Torah, we always say it's the Shema, but it actually appears in the middle of Leviticus, and it appears in this week's portion. The Jewish community is told, "You shall keep all my laws and my rules by which you should live. I am the Lord." Two words in there that you didn't even catch is, "you shall live." You should keep these laws by which, Chai v'chem, you shall live by them. And that is a commandment that we have always said reverberates throughout the ages and supersedes almost every other commandment. Observe my laws, but also Chai b'hem, live by them. This was so important that our sages in the Talmud said it is the important principle. Yeah, you got to follow all kinds of commandments and rules, but precedence is always given to life itself. Rabbi Yehuda said in the name of Shmuel, saving a life takes precedence over almost every other commandment because we're told, live by them, don't die by them. So if a commandment interferes with your life comes first. You know this story. If it's Yom Kippur and you're fasting and you're just gonna die, if the doctor says, go ahead and eat, you should eat. And if there's only shrimp in the congregation, which I hope that isn't true, but if there's only shellfish here, you should eat the shellfish because you have to chai by him. You have to live, because if you don't live this Yom Kippur, you're not gonna be around next Yom Kippur. If a wall falls on someone on Shabbat, you forget that commandment about not schlepping and not moving and not transporting. You immediately get those rocks and move them away and save the life. We are told you desecrate one Shabbos so that you may keep more Shabbatot. In fact, there are famous stories of doctors who work on the Sabbath because they are saving lives. And these are the most important principles. Now, you know, I think, where I might be going. In the wake of the May 2nd Supreme Court leak concerning the overturn of Roe v. Wade, which federally made legal abortion questionable, so many heads have exploded. And every rabbi that I know has cited this verse this week, Chai Bachem, to prove that if abortion is no longer available, we're not going to get to be Jews anymore. It breaks all Jewish law, because we know that Jewish law is more permissive than much of right-wing religion when it comes to permitting abortion. Since the book of Exodus does not require capital punishment to a person who accidentally ends the life of a fetus, but the person pays only compensatory damages, it's viewed that fetal life is not equal to postnatal life. In fact, the great lawmaker Maimonides taught that even if the fetus is full term, 9 months along, if it endangers the life of the mother, then the fetus must be aborted. Chai bachem, live by them. Many women's lives depend upon abortion, and we know that. But on the other hand, we know nothing is that clear-cut. And while so many of my colleagues are saying that Judaism is so open to every form of abortion, I think it's also true to say that that is not the full picture of what Judaism teaches. It's complicated. It's bigger than that. Judaism also forbids killing a fetus, feticide. And they base it on Genesis 9:6, which says that you cannot shed the blood of a man within a man. Now, how many men are within men? Only in today's age in the emojis do we actually have pregnant men, but they interpreted a man inside a man must mean a baby inside a human being. And so from that idea, they said the fetus is very much a life and not something that's just easily to be cast aside. Apparently, and I never knew this until this week, we have a very rich tradition about fetal life. And if any of us could remember, I wouldn't have to tell you these stories. But since we can't remember, luckily our rabbis, very ingenious people, wrote down quite a bit about all we experienced when we were inside our mother's womb. And it is Mother's Day this weekend anyway, so I will let you in on these stories. Now, our rabbis apparently had ultrasound machines because they said that it really isn't a true Adam until 40 days after conception. But then they wrote all of this mystical literature with charming stories about embryonic life. Rabbi Hanania Bar Papa said the following, that there's this angel whose name is Lila. Sounds so close to Lilith, that evil demon. We don't know if it's the same one or perhaps a consort of Lila. Lila means night, and that darn angel is with us at conception. Can you believe it? That darn angel is in the bedroom or whatever other room and takes the drop of semen and brings it up to the Holy and Blessed One and takes the drop and says, Sovereign of the universe, what will become of this drop? Shall it be a hero or weak, wise or fool, wealthy or poor? But the only thing that doesn't get mentioned, God determines all these things apparently, is if the future person will be wicked or righteous, because we are told everything is in the hands of heaven except perhaps our fear and obedience of God. So once we're born, we determine if we will be good or wicked. Another tradition has it that there's an angel of souls, and even before the man and the woman are together, God must sense what's about to happen, and God calls up to an angel of souls and picks out exactly which soul, which is hanging out in the Garden of Eden, should be summoned and placed inside the seed. And in the morning, the angel, before conception, so it's busy time, the angel takes this tiny little soul from the Garden of Eden and says, if you live well, you're going to end up in exaltation and glory, like here at the Garden of Eden. But then takes a little side trip to a place called Gehenna, which is the netherworld where all kinds of bad stuff happens, and says, if you're not a righteous person, you're going to end up here. Then the angel guides the soul from morning until evening, showing it every place that it will live in its future, from every moment of its life, its school, its job, all the way till the soul will be buried. And then and only then we are told that the angel of souls implants the soul in the woman's womb. So we're not quite sure if it's in the man's seed or in the woman's egg, but somehow that soul, that individual who already knows everything and has seen everything from one end to the other, that soul gets in the people. There seems to be a little disagreement about that. We are told, actually, that the angels guard this embryo, this fetus, with a light, a little light that sits at its head, and it knows all of the knowledge of the universe, from everything that is in our teachings to everything that will come up it. And then at the moment, let's see if I have that, at the very moment that is about to be born, the angel Lila comes back, and probably at the very moment that the doctor slaps the bottom of the individual, the angel Lila slaps the child right here under the nose, and all of that good wisdom goes away. And this, by the way, is why we have a pilgrim. Why do you have a little dent in your nose? According to the rabbis, it's because the angel Lila hit you right there. Now, if you don't have a very pronounced one, maybe you have all the wisdom of the generation. Well, maybe you didn't lose it all, but I know I lost quite a bit. Another great story has it that just as God was about to give the Torah, and we know this story, we've told it a lot, but I didn't know that the fetuses were there. God said, I'm going to give you the Torah, but how do I know you're going to keep it? And the Israelite people said, well, our parents, our patriarchs will be our guarantors. And God said, no, they owe me a lot, so forget it. Our parents will be our guarantors, our wise elderly people. No, they owe us a lot. And on they went. And finally God said, we always say it's the children who will be our guarantors, and thus we, owe everything to our children. But according to this story, God said only the unborn children are the people who owe me nothing yet. And with that, we're told that all of the pregnant women's wombs turned to glass, and all the little baby fetuses started kicking and waving and said, yeah, we'll do it. And this is why, according to legend, that we received the Torah from Sinai. Fetuses said yes. Only Jews would believe that our fetuses were already that brilliant. So it is Mother's Day weekend, and we give thanks to all of those who carried us in the womb. We scratch our heads and wish that we had all the knowledge in utero on how to solve the pressing political and reproductive rights of our day. How can we navigate a system which is so terribly divided and fraught with enmity? However, we know that either extreme will never bring us to peace and to compromise, and we know that life is far more complex than it is when we have quick taglines that tell us that we are either pro or we are against all things. As we know, everything in Judaism has many, many different aspects, and we learn all of the aspects as we come to our decisions to indeed have respect for life, and to understand and to evaluate all sides and all truth and clarity. Only then can we move forward to life and chai b'hem, live by our faith, and pass it on to our children as well. And that indeed will not be handled, I don't think, till well after the elections, and perhaps even more. But in the meantime, we will continue to evaluate, to study, and to learn, and to try to improve our world for all living beings. And so we turn to our Aleinu prayer on page 6. We close our service with 2 major segments of prayers, one giving us kind of our walking statement. We're going to walk out of here and try to make the world a peaceful place that we pray for. because we can't leave it in God's hands. It is up to us. And the Aleinu prayer tells us to go forth and to work on Likakein Olam, to prepare the world, the Malchut Shaddai, in God's great kingdom. So with the teachings of our faith, all of that was for God. So we turn to the Aleinu on page 6 and we rise together. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon ha'kol, ma'ateitu ha'le'oseh b'reshit, shelo asanu k'goyei ha'aratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo samchaltenu b'hem, v'gor aleinu b'chol hamonam. V'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu.
Vayom hahu
Please be seated.
Yeh Adonai Echad. Vayom hahu Yeh U'Shemo Echad. B'ne'emar, as it is written, B'ne'emar, let it be said, God rules the earth. On that day God shall be one. V'haya Adonai Lamelech kol haaretz. On that day God's name shall be one. Vayom hahu Yeh Adonai Echad. Vayom hahu Yeh U'Shemo Echad. U'Shemo Echad.
And the final aspect of our service is to remember all of those who came before us, who gave us the gifts of life, those who we celebrate on this weekend, but who are no longer with us, as well as those who we have recently lost. And so in Judaism, we mark the anniversary of the passing, which is called in Yiddish, from German, Yard Zeit, the year marker. And thus, on this Shabbat, we mark the anniversary of the passing of Adam C. Nelson, Margaret Karsh, Abraham Gorski, Lily Human, Anna Cooperschmidt, Sylvia Steiner, Eloisa de la Cruz, Yetta Hockman, Herman Blatt, Yetta Schwartz, Anna F. Epstein, Dr. Bob Ewing, Pearl Lemberg, Betty Anna Lewis. We mark as well with sadness the passing in this last month of Fred Eisenson and Benjamin Michelson, and just this week we mourn with the Gilbert family on the passing of Shirley Gilbert, who went to join her beloved, whom we just lost as well. So together we celebrate their lives and give thanks for their lives, even as we are sad in their loss. And so we turn to the mourner's Kaddish prayer on page 7. We rise together. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah v'alma divrach dirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'hayakon u'yomechon u'v'chayei v'kol beit Yisrael v'agalah u'v'zman harib imru amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbo Mivarach Leolam Ulomei Almaya Yit Barak V'Yishkabach V'Yit Koar V'Yit Roman V'Yit Naseh V'Yit Hadar V'Yit Haleh V'Yit Halal Shemei V'Kedushat V'Richu La'elam Min Kol Birchata V'Shirata Tushbachata V'Nechemata La'amiran V'Alma V'Imru Amen. Yehei Shalom Araba Min Shemaya V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom v'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who causes peace to reign in the high heavens, let peace descend on us, and on all Israel, and on all the world, as we say, amen. And we are seated.
Say shalom b'mromav, say shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru, amen. Oh, say shalom. Oh, say shalom b'mromav, say shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru, amen. La la la, la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la.
And we wish one another Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
A few words of note. Next week we will be having our confirmation, consecration, graduation. The seniors don't even know, but I'm going to ask if we can get some of those seniors to get a beautiful picture of them to stick on our wall and to celebrate these four who are going to be confirmed and to welcome our newest babies into our school. So we're having a big mega celebration next week. We hope that you'll all be here at 6:30 to celebrate with them. This Sunday at 10 o'clock, I believe, we're going to have an open house for Mother's Day if you want to come get some coffee and bagels. And a little later in the day, if you want to pay your respects to the Gilbert family, we'll have a special shiva for Shirley at Keith and Rachel Gilbert's house, 4 to 6, I believe. 4 to 6. So it'd be a chance to visit with that family as well. So I think that's most of the good news there. We want to thank Mark Rossio for coming and always uplifting.
All the way from Gehenna.
All the way.
Just like in your sermon.
The netherworld.
I love telling people, I'm from Gehenna. And they're like, what?
And for those of you who do not know, Gehenna is the Hebrew word for Sheol, or the not quite hell. A little lighter than that.
Hellish.
It's where he lived, hellish, and that's where Mark comes from.
And it's not hellish, it's fabulous.
So, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.